right, at our focus, the country is all set to get its 15th president as the counting of votes is underway. Ruling NDA's Draupadi Murmu and opposition's Yashwant Sinha pitted against each other in the contest with votes clearly stacked in favour of Murmu. Selected Draupadi Murmu will be the first tribal woman to occupy the top constitutional post in the country. As of now, NDA's pick is leading the presidential race with 1,349 votes as against Yashwant Sinha, who has secured 537 votes. A total of 1,886 votes were declared valid, and the Electoral College comprises 776 MPs and 4,033 MLAs. The nation will soon know whether NDA's candidate Draupadi Murmu was indeed a masterstroke or opposition's Yashwant Sinha still has a chance. Incumbent President Ramnath Goenka's tenure is ending on July 24th, and new president will take oath on July 25th. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Madhav on the broadcast. Madhav, Draupadi Murmu, it seems, has swept the second round of voting. How many rounds are more to go, and by when can we expect the final result?
Well, there are two more rounds of counting that are, in fact, going to be announced. The third round is currently underway. But with the first two rounds and the massive lead that Draupadi Murmu has already got, it does seem to be more or less a foregone conclusion. Of course, we will have to see what the final numbers are. At this point of time, Draupadi Murmu has over 71% of the total votes that are cast in terms of the actual value, and a little over 28% for Yashwant Sinha. So with Draupadi Murmu getting over two-thirds of the vote, close to, in fact, three-quarters of the vote. Of course, the numbers are far better than perhaps the government even expected, because sources in the government were indicating that they are expecting anywhere between 65 to 70%. But of course, this was being seen as a very big claim. Now, of course, with the numbers adding up, it does seem that that is quite a likely scenario. Of course, the final numbers are yet to come in. But nevertheless, with the kind of support that Draupadi Murmu has received as the first Adivasi or tribal candidate, and that to a woman candidate at that, clearly, of course, that seems to have worked, because even within the opposition camp, the split has been very clear. JMM, which is a very key ally of the UPA and running a government with the Congress in the state of Jharkhand, voted in favor of Draupadi Murmu. The Shiv Sena also voted in favor of Draupadi Murmu. And we have seen, of course, several leaders, legislators on their own come out to say that they will want to support a tribal or an Adivasi candidate. And that, of course, seems to be an announcement or something that seems to have created a momentum in favor of Draupadi Murmu. Of course, details of where cross-voting has happened, which states it is, where opposition ranks have been completely broken, all of that will be, in fact, known in greater detail once the final results are out. But at this point of time, it is very safe to say that the numbers clearly show a lead, and a massive one at that, for Draupadi Murmu, who's all set to become the next president of India.
Madhav, let's also talk about the optics of it. While the numbers, the number game is going on, in terms of optics, what's happening is that the celebration visuals have already grabbed headlines. We're also getting to know that the BJP has planned a mega march, and there are posters of Draupadi Murmu that have come up in the national capital. What more can you tell us about that? How does the BJP plan to make it even more grand as far as this decision of making Draupadi Murmu the president of India is concerned?
Well, absolutely. From the highest levels of government, from the BJP president to the Prime Minister, all expected to visit Draupadi Murmu once the final numbers are out. And that could happen much later in the evening than we earlier envisaged. Earlier, we were looking at a timing of around 6 to 7 when the results would be out. Now we are told it could be a bit later. It could be as late as 8 or 9 in the evening before the final numbers and the final announcement is made by the Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha, who's also the returning officer of the presidential poll. So that being as it may, we will, of course, be seeing that aspect happen later. Apart from that, there have been a massive arrangements that have been made by the state BJP in the national capital, that is Delhi, where a stage has been set up at the state party headquarters, that is in Pandit Pant Marg in central Delhi, not very far from Parliament where I'm currently located. But also, of course, we are going a huge show of strength. There's going to be a victory procession that is going to take place as well. Now, whether the top leaders of the BJP will attend that at the central level or not remains to be seen, but certainly a massive celebration that has been planned. There are posters, there are banners that have been put up in different parts of central Delhi, and they've all come up through the course of the day today, all congratulating Draupadi Murmu in anticipation of this particular victory. So that's as far as Delhi and the preparations of the BJP, and of course the celebrations that are expected later this week. But as far as the numbers are concerned, yes, while it may be more of a formality given the massive lead we're looking at this point of time, we will still have to wait for the final number, and that could happen a little later this evening between 8 to 9.
All right, thank you, Madhav, for those updates. And as you said, that 2 more rounds are yet to go. We'll have to wait and watch. It's all but a formality as far as the results are concerned. Let's now take a look at what is the sentiment like in Draupadi Murmu's native place in Odisha. Celebration visuals have started to come in. There are people who are distributing laddus and sweets in view of this development. Draupadi Murmu's brother says that the entire city is celebrating.
राष्ट्रपति बनने वाली है, जो रायरंगपुर के लोग हैं उनमें क्या उत्साह चल रहा है और क्या माहौल है, ये बताइए।
तो आप देख ही रहे हैं, यहाँ पर बम पटारा जश्न का माहौल है। अब दीदी बहुत सिंपल और सीधा थे, उनका लगभग जीत ही चुकी है, जो और भी दिखा रहा न्यूज में। नो डाउट वो जीते हुए हैं।
सर आप क्या कहेंगे?
दीदी हमारी जीत चुकी है, 100% दीदी जीत चुकी है। माहौल आपको देखकर पता चल रहा है और कोई डाउट नहीं है।
कितनी गर्व की बात है रायरंगपुर के लोगों के लिए?
रायरंगपुर के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है, बहुत गर्व की बात है, सोच से परे है ये।
मैम आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगी?
हाँ, हम लोग बहुत प्राउड फील कर रहे हैं दीदी के लिए। यहाँ बहुत जोरों की सेलिब्रेशन चल रही है और बस हम लोग रिजल्ट के लिए वेट कर रहे हैं। वी आर वेरी प्राउड ऑफ हर। कांग्रेचुलेशंस द्रौपदी दीदी।
It is a very colorful celebration over here. We see that we are in Kalyani right now. It is a 2.5-hour journey from Kolkata, and over here the tribal population are very happy because Draupadi Murmu is the next president, and it is an absolute confirmation for them, and which is why they're celebrating over here. We are seeing the drums being played. All the locals have joined in the traditional Adivasi attire that they have, and they are joining in. They are dancing. Madam, क्या कहेंगे? द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी तो बन गई है प्रेसिडेंट, देखा जा रहा है।
हाँ,
तो कितना खुशी हो रही है?
बहुत खुश है, हम लोग बहुत खुश है क्योंकि पहली बार जो जनजाति के एक औरत जिसको हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, बीजेपी सरकार ने इतने बड़े जगह में दिए हैं, तो हम लोग बहुत खुश हैं। ये सिर्फ आदिवासी संप्रदाय के लिए नहीं, पूरे भारत इंडिया के लिए, सबके लिए एक गौरव की बात है।
Well, we see that, you know, they are saying that they're very happy that Draupadi Murmu has been selected. We see that the men are wearing their traditional attire and they're dancing. Also, the BJP MLA, he would be coming in some time. He would also be coming in a traditional attire. They would be doing a procession.
All right, to understand this development better and what it means for the country and the tribal community at large, I'm joined by a special guest on the broadcast, Dr. Aditi Narayani Paswan, who's writer and founder of DAPSA, which is an organization that especially talks about the marginalized sections of the society. Dr. Paswan, thank you so much for making time and speaking to Mirror Now. My first question to you would be that, for the benefit of our viewers, if you could help us understand how representation matters, because my understanding from this is, I read a very beautiful interview of Draupadi Murmu's daughter, who said that when there is a tribal at top, then they will get better access to the justice system. What would you like to add to that?
Hi, Archana, and thank you so much for getting me here. So, as you said about representation, the fact that a Dalit woman is sitting here on Mirror Now on a national television and talking about this, in itself, it shows the best kind of representation, the best inclusive representation that India can have. This is the first thing I want to say. Second, when you have a person from a marginalized section, whether it's a Dalit or a tribal or a woman at the top who is there, the justice delivery mechanism, it is heartfelt. It is, you know, when you belong to that community, it goes beyond the fact of tokenism. It goes beyond the fact of politics of representation. It is a true representation in every sense. The day, you know what, it has been a very emotional ride for me, a journey for me. The day she was nominated, it was a very heartfelt day that I felt that, you know, I have a role model now. A woman clad in a very simple sari, and every strand of a sari, it represents the hopes and aspiration of a lot of young Dalit and tribal women like me, who never had a role model. Now we know that we have a president up there who's sitting, we can approach her. She's like one of us. And you know what? The fact that you can approach someone, that person looks approachable, kind of creates a sort of relation that you have. And the BJP government, which has done it, which is always was assumed, no, it is a majoritarian government and this, that, it always promotes a majority. By nominating her, and I hope that she becomes, which is very evident till now, it is going to remove all the stigma. And it is not just, and you know what, she is a Dalit woman, she's a tribal woman. It talks about her intersectional identity. A woman from a background, a woman from a backward state, and a tribal woman. So she has set an example, and she'll be an example for all of us, a role model that all of us have been looking from since independence. And you know what, we have been celebrating Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav. What better opportunity can be for this, that we have been celebrating the unsung and unforgotten heroes of India. And you know, the vivid pictures that I've been seeing in Mirror now of all these beautiful women clad in their traditional attire dresses who are coming on the roads. Can you see the hopes and aspirations they have on their face? I think that in itself says a lot about the representation that all of us are standing by, and all of us are very, very proud of it.
Absolutely. But Doctor, if I may say something a little, controversial, or if I may play the devil's advocate, there are a lot of critics who say the same thing about politicians, that they might represent a certain society, but there's very little they do. A lot of people have criticized President Kovind for that matter. A lot of people have criticized other politicians for that matter. So do you think in this case, there might be a wind of change, because a lot of people see this position, the position of president, as a symbolic position. So either we can see it in a way that, okay, great, this is going to be historic, or do you think it's going to be symbolic or substantial?
It's absolutely going to be historic. And I would substantiate that the people who have been saying that, I've been following up the critics, that, you know, she's a rubber stamp,
yes,
Murti hogi. But the fact that, you know, she has fought for the Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act, she has fought for the Santhal Prangna Act, she being a governor, which was again the constitutional post of a state, which is supposed to be nominal, she took her stand. She took her stand and she was very vocal about it. So she has proven. And about the critics, I would like to say that, you know, again, she's a victim of patriarchy and the caste biases and the upper echelons of the society. You and I, all of us are victims. We are women, you know, people are going to question it. And she being a tribal woman, when she's being nominated, it is just people are going to again play the gimmick of, it's a political gimmick. It is again for the representation and tokenism. But hearing from a Dalit woman and seeing all the pictures that you have been showcasing, I'm sure it is beyond symbolism. It is going to mark the transformation in the democracy. And I feel our democracy has matured and deepened with her nomination. And I'm sure with her becoming the president, it is going to acclaim the true sense of a democratic country would be achieved. And it goes, and definitely, if you ask my point of view, it goes beyond symbol. And she has proven, in fact, in the past also, when she was the governor.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Dr. Paswad, one last question, and this is for our national audiences. I want to understand from you is, what are the key issues of the tribals that need immediate attention? What is it that needs to become more visible, more amplified in order to give attention to the community at large?
See, when you talk about the tribals, first of all, we need to understand, when we talk about Northeast, they have a very different sort of the problem that they're going through, right? Yeah. They have a problem of representation in the mainland India, so-called mainland India. So they need to be mainstream. Then there should be access to the education system. When we talk about the Santhalis of the Jharkhand or the Orissa area or the Madhya Pradesh area, these three, there are certain issues. First of all, I would like to say about the health, because the accessibility to hospitals and health is a major thing. Second is the education. And third, I personally feel, because I've been working on Mithila painting, if you can see here, this is one of the paintings by a Dalit artist. So, you know what, the third, the tribal community is a representative of a very rich and diverse art of India. So if I may say so, the skill in entrepreneurship, which is there, which the government, the Skill India. So third important thing is like all the tribals in our country are very skilled. They're skilled is in whatever resources are available to them. So education, health, and the upskilling and the skilling of these, the tribal people need to come into the mainstream, need to get the attention of the government, and we need to come together. A kind of a social cohesion should happen, and we need to come together so that the the rich art and culture, the traditions of the tribal people are coming, and people are getting to see it, and people are getting to understand this.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Aditi Paswan, for making time and sharing such valuable insights on this significant and historic development. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much, Mirna. Thank you so much, Archana. Thank you.